comments under there. And I'll also post it on my Facebook page and my YouTube channel as well. There's all other kinds of videos and all other kinds of information, inspirational things on my Facebook page, facebook.com/ChristyWarnick1, and also my YouTube channel. All that is on my website. You can go there, ChristyWarnick.com. And I look forward to you joining me next week, same time, same place. And also check out my other shows throughout the week. Check out my Facebook page for that information, okay? And I will see you next week. Thank you all for joining me. Go and enjoy love, and we'll work on it some more maybe next week or whatever comes up to be done.
Hi, I'm Kathy, and thanks for watching Moonstruck. And now, back to A1R on the Air, Psychic Talk Radio, now on Moonstruck TV, enlightening television.
Hello, and welcome back to Soul Star Radio. I'm Jacqueline Closemore, and I'm live with you here today, and looking forward to speaking to you. So do feel free to phone in, to write in, to share the live link, and go into the queue for a reading and all that sort of stuff. We've got a lovely lineup of readers tonight, so I'm the first show of the evening, and you'll find us going right through for the next few hours. What's not to love about a number of hours of psychics? Unless they're all Geminis, in which case it's very likely the light bulbs will be exploding. But unfortunately today, my fellow Gemini and friend, Miss Shirley, is not quite well. So we're sending her love, light and healing out there in the stratosphere and back down to Frankston, to her and her family, who've all got a bit of a bug there. So thankfully it's not the Y2K bug, and they'll be getting better soon, but we're sending you lots of love, light and healing in the meantime, and she'll be back joining us at a later stage. So in the meantime, we're going to get the show on the road today, and we're going to do some live readings, so you feel free to connect. And just remember, we can only do so many readings per show, so we do what we can in the time that we've got. What I'd probably start by talking about is the pushy energy that's been going on this week, like people like butting heads, right? And so although we've had the wonderful summer solstice Northern Hemisphere overnight, and we've got the winter solstice here in Australia yesterday, and it's a very big time energetically around the world, because in the Northern Hemisphere, of course, we've got that sort of longest day of the year. In the Southern Hemisphere, we've got the shortest day of the year. So the winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere is really about, when we look at the winter solstice, it's like, okay, well, that was the longest of winter, and that's the longest of, like, the coldness, and although the days have been getting shorter and shorter and shorter, now that we've gotten to that winter solstice, the days are going to start getting longer. So, you know, heading into more that spring and later on summer. And so also for the Northern Hemisphere, that summer solstice, well, that's the longest day, and it's leading into, you know, the going towards the end of summer, going into autumn and so on. So it's just the changing cycles of the seasons, and all the energies to do with that. So when we look at the winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere, what we're really dealing with is owning your own shadow, looking at those things which you've held as desires or wants or been contemplating for a very long time, and you really kind of look at those over the winter, and you sort of say, all right, well, what of that do I want to take forward? Also, it's like if we sort of look at the owning the shadow sort of period, and that winter solstice, it's like the seed buried beneath the earth, the dormant sort of winter time, and then once the spring comes around, of course, the seed then becomes a seedling, and it breaks the surface with its leaves, and here I am, I'm a plant. So it's sort of the winter solstice speaks of the fertility possible and the growth possible, and the greatest light can often be found in that space under the ground, although that's dark under there, because the seed is the light. So it's the seed from which life springs forward. once it's really taken hold, and off and away it goes. So that's sort of the winter symbol. Often how that was celebrated, and if we sort of look at Yule, when you're dealing with that winter solstice, you're also dealing with that sense of gift-giving and celebration, but it was often seen as you make something over the winter that's very special to you and have a story about, and you give that to one person and they then give you something also, sort of exchanging of gifts, rather than this massive ho, ho, ho commercialisation that we see at Christmas time. But so when we look at it that way, you sort of see the gifts in that, and you see the the energy in that, and the possibilities and potentials. So yeah, the winter, it's sitting by the fire, it's looking at, okay, well, these are the things that warm my heart, maybe not just a fire, but also here are the ideas, the concepts I want to move forward with, and here are the things I'm going to leave behind. So things that you decide on a winter solstice can be actually quite strong. And for the Northern Hemisphere, who you are having your summer solstice, this is a celebration of the harvest. So it's all the abundance of like the fruits and all the things that have come to life and that we've made full use of. And it's like it's at its full zenith. And and so that's what we celebrate there, the absolute abundance of things. So it's kind of weird, actually, in a way, to celebrate Christmas in summer in Australia, because you've got that, hang on a minute, hang on, isn't this gift-giving supposed to be like a really deep inner thing? No, let's just celebrate the abundance. All right, then. So it's even weirder when Australians celebrate Christmas with, like, really warm jumpers on and, oh, look, here's my Christmas jumper, or they have celebratory things to do with snow. But it's like if you guys in America celebrated Christmas in July, and preferably in a really warm part of America, and then it would kind of make sense as to how weird it is in Australia when we celebrate Christmas in December. But in any case, we have a caller, Faith, in Melbourne, who, and she's in Florida, not Melbourne, Australia. There are many Melbournes, apparently. Are you there, Faith? Hello and welcome to the show, and thank you so much for calling in. It's lovely to speak with you. If I can have your date of birth, I can go into a reading for you.
I'm sorry, you asked for my date of birth?
Yes, if I can, that'd be really great.
Yes, June 1st, 1959.
Beautiful, soul sister. I am also a 1st June child, so this is actually quite hilarious. Thank you so much. There certainly are. And aren't we an interesting lot? I was talking about Geminis at the very start, and as you would relate, if you have 4 Geminis in the same room, you sort of have to watch the light globes because they might blow. With you, very upstanding, strong energy. What you say is what you mean, and what you mean is what you say. You do know how to be diplomatic and to hold things back, and sometimes you've really had to hold your tongue and really hold back and just go, okay, if I say something right now, they're never going to talk to me again, and maybe that's what they need to hear, but maybe I don't need to have the pain of them remembering me for it. There's a directness, a very caring, loving energy, a forthrightness, a don't muck me around kind of energy as well. You're also year of the Earth Pig in the Chinese astrology, and so with Earth Pig energy, you'll be coming into your return of both element and animal actually next year in 2019 when it will be the Earth Pig again. When it comes back round to being your same animal and element, what we find is that it's a full return of all the energies. You get to look at the journey you've taken out into life, and then as you're coming back. So it's like the return of that full circle, which is really interesting that you're calling today as we're dealing with both the summer solstice and the winter solstice, which talks about that solar return journey. So here you're having the reading right on that solstice energy. So it's quite intriguing in that way. People really see that you're very supportive and very able to give them grounded, practical advice and guidance, and that if you're saying something to them, it's not to make them feel good for the sake of feeling good or bad for the sake of feeling bad. It's really about helping them in the most direct manner possible and with honesty and integrity. You know, that's how I sort of see this with you, and something as being very important to the way you operate. It's like the integrity's really got to be there, or you're just not interested. This year also is a 9-year for you in the numerology, if you want to look at it that way. And so I do feel a lot of wrapping things up and looking at what we want to leave behind, and what we've had more than enough of. Thank you very much. A lot of those things around you at the moment. Yeah, and really being interested in stepping forward. But the question you wanted to ask today
is my husband has stage 4 colon cancer, and the only thing he can have is chemo because it's advanced. And he wants to fight it and take the treatments and do everything he's supposed to do to try to, stay alive as long as possible.